I'm home in bed. I'm about to watch The Night Agent, but I want to tell you something real quick. Guess what? I met Bradley Cooper Monday night. So Ryan Felipe and then Bradley Cooper, I feel like Brad Pitt's gonna walk through the door. So random, so random. This was weirder than the Ryan Felipe interaction by, I would say, a pretty good, significant, like a landslide, all right? So also, I burnt my finger making bone broth. Never again. I got a bunch of bones from a butcher, and then I was boiling my own broth, and then I scalded my hand, fucked up the kitchen. I was just doing it because I was like, oh, bone broth's so expensive, it's a good way to just make it on my own, but never again. So Bradley Cooper. Okay, so let me paint the scene for you, but I'm going to tell you something that I forgot, so then you try to forget it too, or at least forget not remembering it. Okay, so months and months ago, I got this audition. It came in, and I hadn't had an audition in a while. I used to get a lot of auditions that they've been few and far between. But whenever they do come in, it's spot on. It's blonde dyslexic who just stopped eating protein powder. I audition much less, but it's a much less acting is involved in the part, right? And the reason, there's a few reasons that I'm auditioning so much less, but one is I used to have this amazing acting agent. This guy, woo, what a winner. And we parted ways, and boy, I took that hard. I mean, I had a breakup with a girlfriend around the same time, but I was more upset about, his name was Kent. Oh, I loved Kent. I would listen to Sarah McLachlan and stare out a window. It wouldn't be raining. I'd dump water, just give it the effect. Anyway, so new acting agent, get this audition in, and I'm reading it, and it's to be a stand-up comedian in this Will Arnett, Bradley Cooper movie, and the scene. So when you do an audition, a lot of times they tell you, sometimes they'll send you the whole script so you can get all the info, but when it's a bigger production like this, a lot of times they give you less info just because they don't want it getting leaked or vlogged about whatever. But they gave the preceding moment, and the preceding moment was the girl that I was auditioning to play was riding the guy. She comes, she jumps off and tries to get him to leave the apartment. Now, there's a few things wrong with this. Mainly, I said, there's no way. So I was I'm not doing it. And I said, I was to my manager, truly verbatim I said something if they're opening to wiggle around the dynamics of that sex scene, I'm sure we could figure something out. If the guy is open to wearing a skirt and being in a guillotine where his butt's just up in the air, and I could finger him in the butt, perhaps. But that really changes. That becomes a very different sex act than what is much more standard of a sex act. I am not being hired to rewrite the script. I said, I don't feel comfortable auditioning for it. I'm down for whatever. I want nothing more than to make it. But there's some things where it's just it's too much of wow. So, and it was pretty graphic. I was I just don't feel comfortable maneuvering that way. But I mean, maybe that's silly of me. That's just what I said. So my manager was why don't you still audition for it? Because the casting director is the same woman who does Game of Thrones. I said, let me stop you right now. I'll suck that guy's dick. The person who's the casting director for that is a woman, actually. Pretty young, too. Cool as shit. Because some of these casting people, they're seeing people all day. So maybe it's a way of self-preservation for them to just be really cold. But she was lovely. So I do the audition, right? Forget about it, right? Forget about this audition. I did work really hard on it because I hadn't had an audition in for a long time, and I wanted to impress the casting director. And this applies to anything in life. They'll be it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it and what that can then lead to. It's not the thing, it's what the thing. We don't know how the thing will pan out. It's so for an audition, it's you're not auditioning for that part, you're auditioning for the people that are watching you audition for that part. Because they might say, well, not right for this, but we've got, the role of flesh-eating pickle in an upcoming production of Annie, and maybe you'd be right for that. You go, my dream. Okay, so months ago now, forget that I learned about, forget I auditioned for the yacht, forget I knew that was even happening, okay? Cut to Monday. Now, I don't drink, and I go to support groups for people who don't drink, right? They're supposed to be anonymous. At the support group, someone's sharing that they were struggling with their sobriety, and they were they were newly sober. They were looking for someone for a sign, and then their celebrity that they like Googled sober celebrities just to distract themselves, and they were reading about how Bradley Cooper was sober. That's something he speaks about. And then they said, then they look over and they saw Bradley Cooper. So I'm like, what a nice story. So that's Monday afternoon, right? I go to, there's a club called the Comedy Cellar that has a few different rooms that are booked by the same person. So there's the Comedy Cellar, and then you go around the corner, and then there's the Fat Black Pussycat Lounge, and then this other room, and then this other room. But I was doing a specific show called New Joke Night. I had a couple shows that night at the venue, though. So it was like I had a spot at 7:40, 9:40, 10:30, and 11. But one of them was the New Joke Night. So I do the 7:30 spot. I have a tea. I'm done. I walk over to my other spot. It's fucking freezing, frigid, cold, damp. And there's this pizza place in the corner that says vegan, gluten-free pizza. And I was like, you know what? So I had a bunch of chicken on me. And I was like, I need to get this protein in me. How can I make it more appetizing? I'll put it on some of this pizza. So I go in there and I go, do you guys have any of that vegan, gluten-free pizza? I'd love to try it. He was like, yeah, but you have to buy a whole pizza pie. I said, don't threaten me with a good time. So I get the whole pizza pie, put my freaking chicken on it. He's very confused. He's like, it's vegan. I was like, yeah. Then he watched me put like a farm on it. So I take the pizza, I'm sitting in the empty venue in the comics area, and then this guy comes up who I do not recognize. It's not Bradley Cooper. I don't recognize him, and I'm eating this pizza that says vegan all over it, but I've clearly put meat on it. Also, I bought some pepperonis at a side store, and I like sprinkled some of them on too. So there's a whole clusterfuck. I'm burning my mouth. I don't know how you are when like you're eating something really hot. I'm not so good. It's like, I'm like, burn, push through instead of stay away and take a beat. I push through. And I'm like, it's cooking my mouth, but there's something about that melted cheese. There's this famous song in Boston where they say there's something about that dirty water. There's something about that melted cheese. So I'm eating this, burning my mouth, vegan pizza with meat all over it. This guy comes up, he kind of takes it in. He like kind of like is like, hi. And I was like, hi. He sits down. Now we're sitting in an area that only two people that would be on the show would be in, but I don't recognize this guy. He's in his 50s, kind of long, oily hair, kind of slumped over. So I'm like, interesting. It's the New Joke Night. So for someone of his profile to be doing the New Joke Night, I would really think I would know this guy. Because like maybe if it was like someone who was like really young and new, I'd be like, oh, I don't know them. They're young and new. They're doing this. But someone with his profile, I go, I'm surprised I haven't seen him around. Whatever. So we're both super early. So we sit there in silence, except for the occasional me going, ow, wow. Now, I never offered him a piece of the pizza because I had botched it up. And some of the staff came over and I was talking to them and I gave them some gummy bears I had in my bag. Someone asked for gum. I said, I got gummy bears. So I gave him some gummy bears, but I never offered this guy any because I'm like, I don't know. I was getting a little bit of weird vibes. My backpack falls. Things fall out, as I'm sure you can imagine. He goes to get it. I go, I got it. Something about him. I said, I don't know. And I didn't do the, hey, how are you on the show? No pleasantries. So we sit in silence, I want to say 22 minutes, right? Lights dim. More people start coming in. His little friends join him. I'm up there scribbling my notes because it's New Joke Night. And I'm like, I'm trying to write about things that I'm trying to write about. And I don't have a deadline for anything right now. So I'm trying to like self-impose it. And I'm thinking, fuck, my mouth hurts. So then I look over and I go, is that Bradley Cooper? I didn't say that out loud, thank God. I go, is that Bradley Cooper? It is. It's Bradley Cooper talking to the guy who's just sitting with me, the guy with the kind of long, oily hair, who I'd sat in silence with for a good 22 minutes. So I'm like, that's Bradley Cooper. So then and Bradley Cooper he was like nodding his head a lot. Like he was like a real like bouncer. Like, the bro bop. There's like the neurodivergent, like bop. I'll do that. The stem, he had the real. So he's doing that. He's pretty pleased with himself. Why not? He's Bradley Cooper. Looks great. So I have to walk by him. So I go, I was just at a meeting, support group earlier, and someone was talking about how you inspired them to stay sober for another day. He's like, thank you so much for saying that. And he was like, did the person have a dog? I was like, I didn't get that far into it. And he was like, okay. And he was like, thank you for saying that. And I was like, all right. And I go, I'm about to do new jokes. So it's not going to be very good. He's like, do you think? So I go down, I do new jokes. It goes okay. And I was like, fuck. Because the week before it had gone great. Week before that, great. And then this week just goes okay. It is what it is. But I felt kind of uncomfortable because like fucking Bradley Cooper's watching. So I do that. I go, I get my backpack, leave. I see some comics. I'm like, man, like Bradley Cooper's at New Joke Night. They go, yeah, and Will Arnett. And I go, what? Then they point to the TV because there's a monitor showing the showroom. They go, that's Will Arnett. I go, no. They introduced that guy Because right when I was leaving, they introduced him. They were like, please welcome to the stage, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, they go, yeah, he's working on a movie where he's playing, and I go, oh my God. And that was the guy that was the audition for the sex scene that I would have been writing in. And he's method acting. He's trying to learn everything he can by being around comedians and spending time at the comedy clubs. But he method acted me, because I've seen Will Arnett in plenty of stuff, but I was sitting next to him for 22 minutes, didn't recognize him for anything. I didn't recognize him. The body language, the hair was like long and oily, super slouched over. He looked nothing like the Will Arnett in pictures or I'd seen in other stuff. So I was like, oh, he was in method to me. He was playing the character and he did such a good job. He did such a good job that I, right away, that was like who I thought he was, right? They're like, yeah, he's trying to play like a comedian. He was like not really making it, like kind of washed up. And I was like, oh God, I hope he's not trying to play one that likes gluten-free vegan pizza, because I just ate one right in front of his face with chicken and pepperoni on it. But it was fucking Bradley Cooper. Isn't that crazy? And it's so, what a weird thing to see when you see someone like that you've seen on TV, like right in front of your face, and you're like, you can just go boop, boop. It's just a person, a real head boppy person. But how weird. I haven't met it's just very, very bizarre. Really, really a New York City thing. All right, I didn't know I was going to be in New York tonight. My schedule got turned around. I was supposed to be out of town, but I'm in town, and I'm so grateful. I feel like it was like the universe doing for me what I wouldn't have done for myself, because I have tonight off, and I haven't had a night off in, on a Friday? I don't even know when, so I'm gonna watch The Night Agent, I think, and I'm excited for that. I am excited for that. I'm so grateful to just have a fucking night in. And then I have so many shows tomorrow night. Gotta put the pedal to the metal. I have a show starting at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Isn't that crazy? 4 p.m. When it's a 4 p.m. on a Saturday show, I'm like, I know what I'm doing here. I'm doing this because those types of shows in New York, to me, are priceless. Because it's like, it's people that are just there for the show, like they're trying to fill up their afternoon, whatever, winning, and they're not there to see you or anything in particular, and I can work on stuff, and finding places to really just like work on stuff and be free in New York, I think that is priceless. So I'm gonna do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows tomorrow. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry if I don't get something new out of it, but I'm working on staying in the moment. I've been reading this book. I'm gonna show it to you. It's so good. And it talks about staying in the moment. It's called, imagine the book was called Staying in the Moment. It's called The Molecule of More, and it's all about dopamine, and it talks about, this is the thing for it, how a single chemical in your brain, dopamine, drives love, sex, and creativity and will determine the fate of the human race. Haven't gotten to that part yet, but it's talking about how, like the things that are right in front of you, those are not necessarily, dopamine is produced at the thought, the anticipation of something. Once you get something, dopamine needs to get scaled up. So it's all about the, I want to do this right now. That's why, there's a lot of things that come in to dopamine with, addiction stuff. I really just described that really shittily, but it's a really good book. But a lot of it talks about, I just opened the chapter domination. Hello. But it talks a lot about, future tripping, too, and, getting a rush at the idea of something, but then of course doing the work for the thing is a lot less of a rush than the idea of something. The chapter I just read was about love, and it talks about the chemical keys to long lasting love. It's very sweet. Okay, that's it. That's my Bradley Cooper story.